the FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.
Hi, you're listening to Fantasy Football Tips in association with Premier Punt, the home of daily fantasy football betting. My name is Mills and I'm joined, not live this week, but on a Skype call by JP. Hello, JP.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mills. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good afternoon on this Sunday special podcast. This has never been done before. Not only do I feel like we're cheating on Quigliano, but we're doing a Sunday special.
We are breaking boundaries.
We certainly are. I mean, that's easy for you to say. I mean, let's just touch on the wedding first of all. You know, regular listeners to the show will know that Quigliano was the big day, wasn't it? Last Monday, and it went down pretty well, didn't it?
It was good. It was filled with banter and enjoyment. Yeah, it was a good night. Good night and a good day enjoyed by all.
Absolutely, and just only one member from our mini league missed that, didn't they?
Who was that?
Goes by the name of Evans. Missed the wedding completely. Was there for the drinks, obviously, but missed the ceremony.
Yes, well, you know, let's be honest. Going on his managerial, experience, it's unsurprising that he's unorganised in that kind of way.
Absolutely, and perhaps the Delia Award this week will go to him.
Fingers crossed.
Where were you, Mr. Evans?
Shocking.
It was indeed. So, I mean, how are you feeling, JP? It's you've become a stalwart of the show over the last few weeks, haven't you? You've been on every single podcast. From small beginnings come great things, and I mean, taking the place of Quigliano, they're quite big shoes to fill.
They're very big shoes. Listen, I've said it a few times, over the past few weeks. I've been someone who's nestled under the wing of more experienced managers in the past. What I've done is I've received that wisdom, taken it on board, and I've grown, Mills. I've really grown. And now I am ready to fly on my own. The wings span wide. Exciting times for myself. Bring on the future.
Okay, brilliant. I love it. I mean, I've got to bring this up, JP, before we move on, because I've never done a Skype call with you before. I didn't even know your Skype address, and we've just obviously started this call. Your picture is, it's a sight to behold. I mean, I don't want to talk about pictures too much again. We've been there before, haven't we? But, I mean, for one, there's no beard at all. It is a very, very fresh-faced young JP with a quite a small black vest, showing a lot of shoulder and a lot of arm. A very lovely smile. The eyebrows are still prominent, but it's a sight to behold.
Well, listen. Women love shoulders and biceps, so I'd recommend they don't look at that picture.
So they've got one of the two there.
I recommend they don't look at my picture too much. Obviously, no beard. Unfortunately, at that time, was unable to grow a beard. Developed over time there. If we're being completely honest, it's a hideous picture, but it's made for humour, so it'll probably stay a little bit longer. Absolutely.
I mean, I might have to tweet it out. It's that good, seriously. But anyway, we're going to talk quickly about the podcast team, which, game week 17 was abysmal for us, but game week 18 was a little bit better. The big issue I had, and as we all know, Quigliano is on his honeymoon. I was left to sort of take the team by myself, much like Ryan Giggs has done today for Manchester United. I'm led to believe, but enough about that. I took out Mane, who had been not performing for us at all, and obviously he popped up, didn't he, against Arsenal last night and kind of ran the show. Mahrez went in, so it was long overdue, but obviously Mahrez did absolutely nothing. Just want to get your thoughts on the change that I've done this time for this week. I've taken out Vardy, who looked very, very tired to me against Liverpool. Obviously, he was taken off early as well in that game. And I've put Harry Kane in, just on the back of some good fixtures coming up for Spurs. And obviously, coupled with the good form that Harry Kane is showing at the moment. What are your thoughts on that, JP?
Right, well, for the first time this season, I completely agree, Mr. Mills, with the Vardy decision. I think he does look tired. I was going to use the word fatigued, but, I'm not going to nitpick. Okay. I think he's going to have a couple of weeks slightly dry, a dry spell. And exactly like you said, I feel that Spurs have got kind fixtures. Harry Kane scored. He looked good on the weekend. I think he's going to get a few goals. I think this is the time to trade in Vardy for Harry Kane.
Okay, and obviously if you've got the money to do so, we had money in the bank, so yes. We could. Our forward line at the moment looks like Lukaku, Kane and Deeney. Obviously, Lukaku not scoring at the weekend. They've got Stoke, Everton have this week, and then they have a very, very tough run of fixtures. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking Lukaku for this week, and then if he doesn't score this week, I think he'll definitely go, because Everton's fixtures do start to become pretty tough. That's kind of in the back of my mind for that. But interesting there, JP, to hear you talk about that with Leicester, because you've been a massive fan of Leicester. Even last season, you did talk about Leicester being the form team, and maybe you are the first person that kind of foresaw this run that they were going on. So yeah, interesting to hear your thoughts on that there.
Yeah, well, obviously, good foresight from myself there. Leicester have been superb, but I do feel like they might slightly run out of steam. However, I will be keeping Mahrez. That's a personal preference. I still feel that he's got a lot in the locker. But I think it comes down to a case of there are players who have got better fixtures who are more likely to score more goals than him. Like you said, Harry Kane. You talk about Lukaku. Their next games, they've got Stoke, like you said, but then they've got Spurs, a tough game. Really, really tough game. And then they go to Man City. So horrible run of games for Romelu Lukaku. I would be tempted to put Ighalo in your team, Mr. Mills, there. I'm going to be honest.
We've got Deeney in there at the moment, so we've got some Watford coverage.
Absolutely. But of the two, I just feel like Ighalo's the more dangerous, the more threatening player. He's got more goals. So I'd be tempted to make that swap.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, JP. We're going to see how we go with that. I don't want to make any minus hits this week. Obviously, the wild card becomes active after tomorrow as well. So that's interesting as well. JP, we're going to be back straight after this little break with this week's Game Week tips, and I cannot wait.
You are listening to Mills and Quigliano on the FantasyFootballTips.co podcast. Sponsored by Premier Punt. All your fantasy Premier League tips in one juicy little podcast. Get in touch at www.fantasyfootballtips.co.
Okay, so we're back. JP, I think a very, very good start to the show there from yourself.
I appreciate that.
I think actually you're filling the boots of Quigliano quite well. You were getting quite cocky in that first section, so I think you've certainly hit the nail on the head in terms of capturing the essence of Quigliano's personality.
Yeah, I've got a massive amount of respect for Quigliano. However, maybe not as essential as we once thought.
That's very controversial. I mean, he's on his honeymoon right now, so I doubt very much he's listening to this tripe.
Well, probably not. No, he's probably on the beach enjoying the sun. But that's fine. But
do you know what? It'll be really interesting to see how your tips come in this week. So I'm going to come straight in for you with the Gary of the Week this week, JP.
Right, well, Gary of the Week was actually quite a tough one. Looking at the fixtures, they're not pleasant. You've got Everton, Stoke, horrible game, Watford, Spurs, Arsenal, Bournemouth, but Arsenal lost. Man United, Chelsea, Leicester, Man City. I'm slightly concerned. However, I'm going to go with Mesut Ozil. And I'll tell you why. They need to bounce back from that defeat. I think it's a one-off. They've got Bournemouth at home, who I also think look tired. I think Mesut Ozil will get himself a few assists and bring back good points.
I'm going to counter that. I just want to hear your thoughts, because Bournemouth are unbeaten in 6 games. Mm-hmm. Is that a concern? I mean, obviously, I completely agree. I think Arsenal will need to bounce back, won't they, from that Southampton defeat? And no one saw that coming. Yep. They're very, very strong at home. Ozil is that form player. He's the one that has got all the assists for them this season. Mm-hmm. There has also been talk of him being rested. Although, if I'm completely honest, if you look at the squad, I don't see where they put a replacement in. They need to rest him. I think they do. But he's got to play, surely. But Bournemouth unbeaten in 6, that concerns me slightly.
All right, I'm sticking my neck out on the line. Mesut Ozil will start. I can almost guarantee that. I'm also going to quote a famous film known as The Knight's Tale. And one of the famous characters said, all good things must come to an end. I think Bournemouth's run will end against Arsenal.
Okay. Was that Richard Gere?
It was Richard Gere. Fantastic knowledge from Mills.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. So I love the fact that you've brought Richard Gere quotes into the podcast this week. That is amazing.
Why not?
Fantastic. Okay, so moving on then to the Xabi Alonso, the long shot.
Yeah, the long shot. Again, thought long and hard about this one. I'm going to go with Shane Long for the long shot. Shane Long. Playing
Little
West
play
Ham.
on words there,
who
nice.
Looked quite poor. Shane Long got himself 2 goals, looked very, very dangerous against Arsenal. I think they've turned it round. I think Shane Long, or maybe even Mane, because Mane is probably more, even more dangerous. Costs slightly more, mind you. Shane Long or Mane there.
Okay, nice long shots there. Certainly off the back of the Arsenal win.
Yeah.
They did look much better. I think Koeman came out, didn't he, the week before and slated his players, which he's never done before. And obviously looking for a response, and they gave him that. So hopefully for Southampton and for us, trying to pick up some cheaper players that. Southampton will bounce back to form right now. So I like that. And the Delia, obviously we said Mr. Evans, missed the wedding. Where were you? But what about the FPL Delia?
Right, well, the Delia has been a very difficult one for me. You need to stop it, mate.
Hashtag side tips.
Okay, so we're back after that slight intermission there. JP, I'm going to come to you for the Delia of the week.
Right, well, first of all, I'm going to apologise to the listeners. I actually did forget about the Delia of the week, possibly proving Quigliano's worth more than I recognised there.
I can't believe that was. We were literally full flow, and he goes, "Mills, you're going to have to stop," and then sheer panic in his voice as well. It was a beautiful moment, and it is, JP. I'm sorry, it was all recorded, so it's a moment that is going to go in the podcast extra. So if you are a member, please listen on to the podcast extra because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment.
Yes, I spoke about flying earlier on. I pretty much nosedived to the ground there. Going to hold my hands up on that one. However, I'm going to bounce back because that's what good managers do, and I'm going to pull out Juan Mata of Manchester United. Playing against Chelsea, I think, A, that is a difficult game, and B, the form of Manchester United is horrific at the moment. Juan Mata is very quiet and very expensive. Dealer of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Good start to the season, wasn't it, for him? And he's slipped down to a very attractive price, but you just can't back him, can you? You can't back anyone at United. What would your thoughts be on that? Chelsea... We're hoping we're going to see a much more attacking Chelsea now under Gus Hiddink. That was kind of his philosophy when he was there last time. Obviously, Diego Costa came on and scored 2 goals against Watford at the weekend. United, if LVG does go, which it's looking increasingly like he will, is there going to be a massive turnaround at United? Do they have the calibre of players to really challenge, or is he doing? He spent a lot of money. Surely they've got the calibre of players, but we're just not seeing it, are we?
We're not, and I think, there's a good squad there, but I don't think there's a great squad there. That's my analysis of it. I believe that they are a top 4 side, but they're not a championship side. They're not going to win the league, in my opinion. That being said, they are massively underperforming at the moment. You've touched on Louis van Gaal. He probably will leave. I've always believed that when a manager leaves, it does inspire the players slightly to perform for the new manager. So I think there will be a slight bounce back. But I think in that game, Chelsea will remain victorious. They'll come out on top in that game.
Okay. There may even be rumours that Quigliano is tipped to take over at United, given his admission from the podcast this week. But, I'm sure that's what he'd say if he was here. Okay, I like that, JP. Now, this is a massive amount of pressure on you now. Almost more pressure than Van Gaal is facing currently. The fans' favourite section of the show, and it is the hashtag side tips.
It is the hashtag side tips. Now, put a lot of thought and effort into this, so hopefully I won't disappoint. So I'm going to go straight away. I'm going to fire in, and I'm going to put Diego Costa in as a side tip. First side tip.
I'm just going to... JP, I love you to bits, but this is falling apart for you this week. He's suspended.
Wow. Right. Yellow card, wasn't it?
First one, brilliant. Fantastic. Great start. Carry on.
Phenomenal. Okay. Theo Walcott.
You almost said that as if you were expecting me to go, no, he's injured, mate.
Yes, there is some truth in that. However,
You almost said it as a question.
He's not.
Theo Walcott?
He came off early, I think, to be rested in the Monday's fixture against Bournemouth. So I feel that Walcott's one.
I absolutely agree with that. Just to put in my tuppence worth there. I think he wasn't happy, was he, coming off? But I think for Wenger, he was certainly thinking about the Bournemouth game. And I think Walcott is one that could do some serious damage. As a Olivier Giroud owner, I am slightly concerned that he might not feature in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate the agreement on Walcott.
I felt you needed it after that shocking start.
Hopefully making up for the absolute humdinger in Costa there. Moving on swiftly. Christian Benteke.
He's saying it as a question again.
Reason being, I was looking for a well done there.
Okay. Give me some reasons first.
Yeah, okay. Well, Christian Benteke playing Sunderland, who are in free fall. They look awful. He scored a goal. Should have scored twice, massively. He looks really good to me. I think that with Jurgen Klopp, that's the sort of game they'll go and they'll attack and they'll get goals. So I'm also going to put in Coutinho as well as Benteke. I think either one of those two could be good signings.
Yeah, I mean, I like both of those. I think coming back to Benteke, Sturridge is rumoured, well, he's tweeted and said that he's fit and ready to go. He's back in training. I don't think Klopp is going to throw him straight into first team action. Origi obviously picked up that injury at the weekend, so Benteke is almost the nailed on starter for that game. And yeah, yes, he's not been the force that he was last season, but he needs game time, he needs a good run in the team, and hopefully he'll get that. And I agree, Sunderland look terrible, don't they? They look absolutely terrible.
Horrific. They can't keep clean sheets, so...
That's right. And, long time admirer of Coutinho as well. This is the sort of game where, maybe Liverpool turn a team over, like they did at Southampton in the Cup, a month ago. So, yeah, I like that. Is that the side tips done, JP?
No. There's a few more, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Carry on.
Fantastic. I keep saying, week in, week out, Igalo. Get that man in your team. He is prolific. He's on fire.
I mean, you have got Tourette's as well, haven't you? So.
Oh, absolutely. It's only worth saying if you're willing to repeat it at least 3 times.
Okay. So, yeah, absolutely. Igalo, he turned up, didn't he, again against Chelsea. Mm-hmm. He's just such a force, isn't he, at the moment?
He is. He's a massive force. And I've saved, my opinion, my favourite until last.
I can't wait. Go on.
Yaya Toure.
Okay. Interesting, yeah.
Now, he's quite expensive.
8.6.
8.6. I recognise that he is expensive. However, scored against Sunderland. Looked very, very good against Sunderland, I will add.
And only played 61 minutes. So, again, sort of thinking, maybe Pellegrini was thinking ahead to the next game.
Without shadow of a doubt. Leicester look a little bit fatigued to me. As much as I love them, I recently said earlier on, they will struggle slightly over this Christmas period. I think Man City will win that game. And I think Yaya Toure will get himself a goal at least. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. And, his last 3 games, his last 2 games, he got 9 points. The game before that, he got 7 points. So the form is very, very good. I think the reason he played 61 minutes at the weekend is because, City were up. They were winning the game. It was won. And he wanted to rest him. So, yeah, I think I like that. Just a word on Aguero then, before we move on, before we come towards the end of the podcast. What there was fallout big time at the weekend over the fact that he didn't play at all. Does that mean he's guaranteed to start against Leicester?
Very tough question. I think he's likely to start. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think he will. I don't think he'll score. I don't think he's going to have a hat-trick, for example. I still think he's had such a long time out. I think you said this, Millsy, in the past. I like to see a player have at least 1 week before I make a decision on them. We can't, he is fantastic, don't get me wrong. He's the sort of player who could crop up with 2 goals, 3 goals. But I just feel that he will be so rusty at this stage, he's going to struggle in that game slightly.
Okay, yeah. I completely agree. You're pretty much speaking like I was a few weeks ago. So that backs that up very, very well. JP, it's been a pleasure so far. We're coming towards the end of the the standard podcast, the podcast extra, I cannot wait for this week now with to hear the gaff. But we are also going to be discussing our captain picks for this week. Yep. So please listen into that. By the way, if you're not a member, it's very easy to sign up. We now even have a 14-day free trial, and you can pay monthly. It is just £1.50 a month. I mean, if this podcast is not worth £1.50, for one episode, you get 4 or 5 in a month. This is unbelievable value. Go to fantasyfootballtips.co/register and you'll find out how you can sign up and take advantage of our 14-day trial. I've got a couple of questions from Twitter for you before we go, JP.
Fantastic.
The first one is from Sagar Chowdhury, and he just very simply wants to know, will Giroud start?
Well, first of all, what a fantastic name again. We do get some fantastic name people on the show, don't we?
We do. I mean, we have an international audience, so this is what we get.
It's wonderful. I am going to say yes. I think he will start. I know you doubted it. I think he probably will. But I would completely sympathise with someone who wanted to take him out of their team on the off chance he doesn't. Personally, I don't have him in my team anyway. I don't think he's quite prolific enough. So my advice will be take him out.
Okay, so if you've got that free transfer, potentially take Giroud out on the advice of JP, even though they're playing Bournemouth at home. Okay, so, and one more question before we leave, and this is from Byron James, and a great name again, Byron James. I love that. Very strong. Twitter handle, Byron Barrister, or Byron_Barrister. Equally stronger name, I like it. He wants to know, are Leicester about to run out of steam? Difficult fixtures ahead. Varez look exhausted. I like that, Varez. Like that. Varez look exhausted with no other goals elsewhere. Thoughts on that? So are Leicester about to run out of steam? Yeah. We've kind of answered this already, I think.
We kind of have. I mean, I'm going to say yes, but I'm not going to say permanently. I don't think it's a full season now. I don't think they're done for the end of a season. I think there's going to be a slight lull for a few weeks.
Okay, JP, I think you've held your own today. You've made a very good effort. A couple of big gaffes, which I'm sure Quigliano will love to hear.
He'll relish. It's been a roller coaster. Some ups and some downs.
You feeling a little bit dizzy after that?
Slightly. I mean, look, it's all about personal development. There have been mistakes. I will look to bounce back and continue to improve as a fellow podcast.
Brilliant. JP, it has been absolutely fantastic. We will be back ahead of game week 20. I mean, unbelievable to be saying game week 20. Halfway stage now, aren't we? So it's phenomenal, really, that's happened. JP, we'll be back after this for Podcast Extra. So if you're not listening to the Extra, sign up, register, and listen into our captain picks and the almighty gaff that JP did earlier. If not, it has been a pleasure. Merry Christmas once again, and have a great New Year.
Bye-bye now.
Warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.